So it seems like Booster Gold has been getting a lot of attention lately. I mean, this has been happening ever since he was announced to get a show in the DCU universe. And then now we got all these rumors of who's gonna be casted, and that's been sparking more popularity. There's other characters that have been announced, like the Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart. There's even an Amanda Waller show. According to Wikipedia, I didn't even know this, but it seems to me, man, everybody's talking about Booster Gold. Booster Gold is, I didn't even know Booster Gold, he had it like that. He had like supporters like that, but he's often quoted as the greatest superhero you never heard of. And it's kind of hard to understand what that means without even knowing him. For me, it was easy to look at him as, that one guy that was in the Justice League Unlimited episode that was kind of annoying. Obviously, there's a lot more to look at to a hero that does it just for the fame, alright? It's not as vague as it sounds. I mean, from the first 5 seconds of this episode, he comes off as like this narcissistic jerk, and his heart isn't even like in the right place for saving these people. And literally in the next scene, him and Martian Manhunter look at Mordru terrorizing the Justice League. And Martian Manhunter, he's terrified, but Booster Gold's just like, hooray. And it's obvious this episode was trying to be a little more funny, and it was funny actually. But when you look past that for a little bit and you just let it sink in a little bit, it's kind of like, dang man, you're kind of an insensitive jerk. And it's easy to ignore that, alright, whenever it's so funny. And that's obviously, intentional. But, he helps the crowd evacuate, doesn't care, saves the kid's aunts, doesn't really care. For a lot of this saving, he just really doesn't care. And at the same time, he feels bad because he's not getting anything out of being a hero. And by the end, he's even looked at poorly by Batman, even though he saved a guy. And clearly, I do recognize he's purposefully written this way, and it has a little bit of elements from his original character, and he ends up being very likable, despite having some awful heart posture. Now obviously, like any other character, it just is not enough to make an assumption of them based off an episode or a movie, but to look back at the source material. And to the super duper Booster Gold niche nerdy diehard nerds out there, have some grace on me. This is just how I found myself interpreting him to be such a likable character. I think what makes Booster Gold so interesting and lovable is the concept of him. I'm a firm believer that any sort of thing, whether it's a show, a movie, and I guess in this case a character, a really unique concept that's actually good can have tremendous amounts of redeeming qualities to whatever flaws, these said things may have. Except Booster Gold's intentionally written flaws works really well with his unique concept, as that kind of starts out as being his thing in the beginning. Booster Gold was introduced in 1986, and he was created by Dan Jurgens. Yes, the same guy that had Doomsday kill off Superman, which makes you think, because Superman, he kind of ends up not messing with Booster Gold. He kind of hates him, but he created Booster Gold out of spite for Superman. He is a self-insert of Booster Gold. Anyways, Michael Carter, aka Booster Gold, he was born in 2442. Yeah, that's far in the future, if you didn't know. So how did he go back in the past? Well, he stole some tech from a museum he was working at and ended up in the 20th century with his robot sidekick named Skeets. So since he's already from the future, he's got Skeets telling him all these crimes that will happen so he can save everyone, and prevent these bad things from happening. It sounds cool, right? Like I said, he's kind of a jerk. Okay, so doing this for the sole purpose of attention and fame, it's not heroic. It kind of reminds me of dudes shoving a camera in a homeless person's face after they give them a slice of pizza. You see, before, it was kind of hard to see past him being a comic relief character or this fame-chasing jerk. But out of all Booster Gold runs, I think Booster Gold Volume 2 is by far the most interesting take on his character. In this opening arc, Booster Gold, he wants to join the Justice League for the the obvious clout-chasing reasons. But Rip Hunter tells Booster Gold that he needs his help repairing chronal anomalies, alright, that appeared of the recreation of this multiverse, and that he is the only one that has the skills to do it. But for this to work, he can't change the past. He can only prevent events from taking place that were originally not meant to take place. But for someone like Booster Gold, this is kind of bad, alright? I mean, your whole desire of being a true normal hero is basically thrown out the window. Alright, you're not gonna get that love. You're not gonna be really seen as the other heroes. People are still just gonna see him as this annoying cloud chaser people originally knew him as. Anyways, despite that, he still chooses to do the right. Alright, in his first mission, he goes to the World War III era and he saves an airplane that was originally destroyed by Black Adam when Black Adam went insane or something like that. Anyways, Booster Gold, he gets the offer to the Justice League, and he just, he just doesn't accept it because of the future he saw. But this is interesting because this is where we continue to see more of Booster Gold's character being fleshed out, because he decides to work with Rip Hunter in order to go back in time and save Blue Beetle, his best friend, of course. But before that, he's ordered by Rip to save Barbara Gordon, the first Batgirl. Rip Hunter even agrees that he can save Ted Kord if he does this very thing. So we reach a point where Joker's at the door of Barbara, and the moment is about to happen, but Booster Gold isn't even at the scene yet. The door opens and Joker shoots Barbara, and Booster Gold is too late. One of Joker's guys seemed to knock out Commissioner Gordon too. In a scuffle with the Joker, Booster Gold gets shot in the face, but he immediately ends up transporting back to the present time with Rip Hunter. And this is such an amazing character moment for Booster Gold. He is dying and pleading to go back and save her. Rip tells him that it's a solidified moment just like Ted's death, and trying to go back will only get him killed. And in this very emotional moment, Booster Gold kind of accepts his defeat here. Until 3 Blue Beetles show up and tell him, I got one more in me. But Rip tries to warn him, alright? This is like a dangerous thing, man, Booster Gold, he don't care. Alright, he don't care. He's got to save his homeboy, alright? I think this is really cool because, up until now, we just are used to him doing things for the glory, but now his heart is really displaying, and he's actually doing it, guys. He's actually, he's doing it for the love of his friend. So after some time, they finally reach Ted, all right? They finally reach the Blue Beetle, except we reach a point where Maxwell Lord originally kills the Blue Beetle, all right? Except this time, Booster Gold, he steps in front and stops the bullet with his goggles and saves Ted. And he finally gets to reunite with his friend, which led to Blue and Gold. Would you look at that, Blue and Gold. Even though Booster Gold saved Ted, Max Lord is still out there killing other heroes. Yeah, it didn't work out as they expected. So Ted eventually decides to sacrifice himself, and he returns back to when he was killed by Max Lord in order to save the rest of the heroes. There's just a lot of heroism jumping around here, from Booster Gold to now Blue Beetle. Booster Gold throughout this volume continues to do a lot of heroic things that show great character development, like stopping his dad and Rex Hunter from erasing Barry Allen from the timeline, proving that even when the mission is hard, he still's got to go above his own grudges. By the end of this, Booster Gold goes from being seen as this glory hunter to now someone willing to save the universe without even anyone knowing. I mean, normal heroes alone, they get the love, they get the fame. Obviously, when you think of someone like Superman or Batman, that's not something they care about. But Booster Gold right here is a hero, even though he's not really seen as one. And that easily makes it for one of the most fun character arcs to watch, because man, I'm telling you guys, this character development is honestly so good. And his character is worked around to have so much to pack, from emotional depth to actual heroic feats. And so yeah, man, I think Booster Gold is such a cool character for his concept, like I said, and it's just so well done connecting to other DC heroes like the Justice League. You get to see this big contrast between a casual black and white view on superheroes in this universe. But yeah, that's all I really got today, guys. Hopefully, this show ends up being really good. This is probably the second time on my channel I went over specific comics. I know I usually talk about shows or movies, but not today. So yeah, let me know, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think many ladies watch my video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.